Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everyone? Starting Feedback Friday a little early today. For no particular reason. I just kind of felt like it. What's up, Junie? Good to see you here. What's up, Cindy? What's up, Vice? What's up, Art Nerd? Yeah. What's up, DJ Transponder? You guys know the drill. It is Feedback Fridays, obviously. So if you want to share some music with the stream, just type !join and you'll be entered into a raffle. Excuse me. And that gives you the chance to be randomly drawn along with anyone else who's in the raffle. What's up, Carlos? Good to see you. What's up, Noxel? What's up, handsome boy? Hey, I'll take the compliment. I'll take it. That sounds like some kind of like entering a battle Pokemon kind of sound, like a Lavender Town kind of vibe. How does Lavender Town go again? We got a new follower. Yo, thank you for the follow, Sky. Much appreciated. Okay, we got a new follower. Yo, Carlos, thank you for the follow. By the way, Art Nerd, if you did want to share art with us, you're welcome to. Just throwing it out there. Most of the time, obviously, people share music, but be happy to take a look at some art as well if you want. Okay, why don't we dive into it? We got a short list right now. We'll see if more people join later today. Okay, we got 4 people, so everyone's got a 25% chance right now. Oh shit. Wait, why does it do this? Sorry guys, give me a second here. I should probably turn on my do not disturb as well, so I'm not getting random until this evening text messages while I'm streaming. Okay, screen capture. I think I have to like reset this for some reason. Window capture, display capture. There we go. Should be working now. What's up, Chairbor? I hope you got some tunes for us today. I'm ready for some new Chairbor. Baby Lore? Man, he was so noisy this morning. He gets, it's weird. He doesn't really scream when we're asleep, but once he knows we're awake, and he it's like he remembers that we exist, and he's like, oh my god, where's the love and attention and treats from my humans? And it gets worked up, and he starts meowing. But he's doing great. Cool. Let me play a little song here, and we'll choose the first winner randomly here. What's up, the Matism? What you got for us? Why does it say 4 total users here? What does that mean? 1 user entry. Huh. I don't think I've seen that before. That must be an update on the Nightbot side. Probably 4 to... Oh, you are correct. I'm a little bit slow today, it seems. Okay, so this is the same track from last week, is that right? You worked on it a bit? Oh, okay. I think I already heard part of the problem that you were mentioning. It's this third chord here. I hope I didn't confuse you with my chord suggestions. Yeah, that third chord. Yeah, I think that third chord. Oh, I didn't have the volume all the way up. My bad. Yeah, I think I understand part of the problem, at least. So just because we already know the song, just to a pretty decent degree, I'm just gonna stop it there so I can focus on just sharing some quick thoughts with you because, yeah. Well, first of all, like I said in text chat, I know that nobody likes rejection, but like, I just want to say something real quick about that. Actually, I heard there's a lot of different perspectives on rejection, failure, and mistakes and that kind of stuff. And depending on what kind of person you are, for me, I find myself lingering on little things I could have done better all the time. But I think that I heard an interesting story out of all places. It was about it was this founders podcast kind of exploring SpaceX and why SpaceX became quite successful. And one of the things they were talking about, keep in mind, this has nothing to do with Musk. I'm not going on some Musk tangent here. I don't really like Musk personally, but this isn't about that. Basically, they were just talking about one of the philosophies they have behind failure and how they actually, it's kind of more of something that's sought after because it's a failure point. It's something that shows you a boundary. It's like, oh, this is how far I can push something. This is where things went wrong. And so I think it's almost like they look at it. It's obviously a totally different system. You're an artist, and that's a business. But the point is more so to maybe embrace those kind of things, I guess. I don't think that's maybe the most inspiring way to phrase it, but those failure points are just like guidelines in a way, right? I mean, you have power over choosing how to perceive that. But anyways, so back to your song. I think that you need to define the chords a bit more clearly. It sounds like, especially here and what feels like it would be the drop, the chords kind of fall apart completely. So based on the intro, it's kind of like an E minor ish kind of thing going on. Let me turn this up just a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. Is like E minor 9, D major 9, and then the third chord in your track currently is very kind of wishy-washy. Yeah, there's all sorts of, I can't quite tell what kind of dissonance is there, but based on, the chord progression, I feel like that dissonance sounds very unintentional and a bit out of place. So I would focus on making all the notes fit in that third chord to a minor 9, most likely, because that's what I'm hearing in the bass bass, and I think that like the movement will probably be a bit better for you. So E minor 9, D major 9, A minor 9, and then G major 9 is what I would kind of go for. I tried to go back to the D sharp, which chords to get. So I followed the chords you said, Mr. Wire. Well, I think that if you did, it would sound a bit different. So, I think you may need to kind of review all the layers and all the MIDI that you have and make sure that they're actually playing within those chords, because I could tell you right now, if we're going on that A minor 9, for example, I'm hearing some stuff that's definitely outside of an A minor 9 there. The last one is fine though. All the other chords are fine. And then also this area over here definitely feels like some. This is like extremely confusing harmonically. So, I think with something like this where it's like there's some sound design that it's with a lot of sound design like that, it's kind of hard to know what's going on unless you are physically looking at the patches and you can tell how things are being generated and how you can try to get it more into key. But yeah, I think that this feels very dissonant. So I understand why people may have pointed that out. But yeah, I mean, that's just this is the best I can do with like just an audio file in front of me, right? So yeah, I would just really try to focus on making sure that the sound design you're creating is actually sticking to that chord progression. It sounds like that's your main issue, honestly. And then from there, you can start kind of exploring like mix changes and that kind of stuff, little mix improvements, because that's definitely an area where this drop section needs improvement too. And then, but the good news is that your structure seems pretty solid. You've got like an intro, kind of an exploration, like a vamp type section here where you're kind of like just jamming on those chords, building into a drop here. So, there's plenty of good stuff going on too, but I would definitely, first and foremost, just make sure that any sound design is actually following that chord progression. Just review what I want wrong. Yeah, I would say, it never hurts to start from scratch. If that's something that might help you, feel free to do so. But yeah, I know you got this. You got this, brother. Just stay focused and listen, really listen to what you're creating and trust your intuition. But all right, let's move on to the next person. What's up, Soul Shift? What you got? Okay. This is Soul in UKG by Soul Shift. Follow follow Martin's music. Hey, that's my name. I like the little guitar jam in here. Cool. I like it. Yeah, it's got a good structure. It's got a good vibe. I think there isn't really anything that really bothered me from a mixing standpoint. So that's also a good sign. Yeah, there weren't any kind of really harsh frequencies or elements that felt like super out of place volume-wise. I think there were a few like more detailed, little mixed things that I probably would have done a little differently personally. But I think sticking to like a broader like bird's eye view, it feels like there could be room for like a stronger main motif. So like right now it feels kind of like you've got a great arrangement, you've got a great feeling and energy. You obviously have like, this is probably a temporary title, but like, you've got kind of like some soul influence going with kind of like this. I think this section was more like 4 to the floor. Then it kind of goes a little bit more garage-y-esque here. And then back to 4 to the floor. So I like that arrangement. It's nice to have like these little bridge sections. I like doing that kind of stuff where like you have kind of like these specific kind of style for the first drop and the second drop, and then you put in between, you can kind of like get away with maybe something a little bit different. I like kind of going on little tangents in bridges, but anyways, I think the biggest thing I would say is that it feels like maybe there is room just for like a stronger motif. Possibly. I mean, I do like that vocal chop. It feels more like a kind of like chopped up vocal than it does feel like a main motif to me, if that makes sense. Because there are definitely some memorable parts to it, like the... I can't sing that high. I really like the first few notes. And, I mean, outside of getting literally like a top line to maybe add an actual vocal phrase there, maybe this is like I mean, it works. I'm not trying to say that like it doesn't work. I'm just thinking in my mind, it would be, part of me wonders if there is room for a little bit of something that felt a little bit more like a melody instead of just a chopped up vocal. But yeah, I don't really have any direct suggestions on how to fix that, to be honest. Because I don't know. One of the thoughts that came to mind again was just to have like an actual, some kind of like a top line, like some kind of hook or something there that plays that melody, but maybe elaborates on it or creates some variations on it. But I don't think that's probably particularly helpful. So yeah, I mean, not every song needs to have a top line, right? So I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit conflicted on what else to say about that, because it's not like it doesn't work, like I said. But I want to go back to this middle section again briefly. I think that sub note there might be off. I know that's kind of a nitpicky thing, but that sounds like it should be playing the G flat, but it's playing like a D flat. I will say, for my taste, the kick is definitely a bit like sharp and bright. When it comes to this kind of BPM range and style, I kind of prefer like kind of thumpier kicks that aren't quite as bright. Like, I guess, maybe more along the lines of like a Sammy Verji type drum kit. Not that he's the only one that does drums like that, but that's just the first example I thought of. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, that's all I can think of. I think the arrangement is good. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. I particularly like this section here with the guitar jamming. The garage the garage switch up here in the middle, going back and forth to the floor. It's a great tune. I really appreciate you sharing it with us. I need to buy a keyboard. Hell yeah. Do you think the garage section could be a little longer? It could, but I think it kind of works as is. So I wouldn't overthink that too much. Thank you for the follow, Seb. I appreciate it. That's my middle name, Seb. Well, not literally those 3 letters, but anyways, thank you for sharing. What's up, Kirby Slice? You shall be our next... all right, let's check this out. What you got for us? Treble evolving this track. Okay. You are welcome. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that track. Okay, this is Necrobite. Oh, it sounds like we'll be listening to something heavy here. Sick. Sounds cool so far. Okay, cool. Seems like a solid drum and bass tune. I'd say that full disclosure, obviously my kind of like, I feel like my stronger area of expertise is not so much production and mix related, more composition oriented. So, but obviously being a producer, I still have my opinions and my preferences. I may not be as articulate as some other producers out there, and I won't necessarily be able to be as specific. But, when it comes to drum and bass, some of the artists that I obviously look up to most is like, obviously artists like Noisia and Mefjus and Face, and actually Zeros, my buddy, used to have a different alias that he made drum and bass under, and was really, really talented, really great drum and bass. But anyways, I think like that the whole like vision sphere, like that world of drum and bass, I think that's my biggest reference point, just because I don't listen to much drum and bass outside of that. And sure, I've heard plenty just through passing or random stuff coming on or being recommended to me or whatever, right? So, but like, the reason I'm saying all this is because I'm thinking a little bit about the mix down here. The arrangement is good. There's some great sound design. Actually, I'll make some remarks about the sound design briefly too, but I think that arrangement is great. Nothing to complain about. And there's a lot of good stuff going on. It's heavy. It's got enough variation. It's got enough contrast in the different sections. You got your intro, a drop, and there's some variety and kind of like the post drop, whatever you want to call it. It's like a little bit of a switch up. Mostly in the sound design. Obviously, the rhythm stays pretty much the same from what I can remember. And then, you got another in kind of like a section here that acts essentially as another version of the intro. A lot of the same stuff going on here, and then another drop. So, here you had the fake out the second time around, and actually the fake out is what kind of pointed something out that I think I wanted to throw at you as a suggestion, because one of the things that's really difficult, I think, to nail, and this isn't important to everyone. I think that I don't know how much and to what degree, like, being super specific about detailed technical mixing and sound design really matters in the grand scheme of things. It depends on like what your goals are and that kind of stuff, and who you admire, who you look up to, and those kind of things. But I feel that this section here brought something into focus. And for me, that is that when you hear a lot of the sound design, your bass sound design and your sub and everything here isolated like that, and then you have the drums pop in, It feels like the drums kind of don't have quite as much impact as it feels like they should. And my thinking is that it's possible that it could be helpful to tame your bass sounds a bit more. And just some really subtle EQing, especially in EDM where like everything is brick walled anyways. Small changes go a long way. So, it's possible. Part of me was thinking like maybe the like lower mids could kind of be like toned back a bit. And I don't know. It's tough to say exactly what to do. I mean, like I would probably just play around in the project file if I were you and try to experiment a little bit with some mixing techniques primarily. But then also in terms of sound design, there were a couple things I was going to say with this intro sound here. Where is it? That sound. Because it sounds to me, the way it sounds to me is that there's a phaser with a really high feedback. That's kind of, it's got these resonant peaks that are kind of gradually moving. And this might be like one of the downsides of just being a producer. I think as maybe like a casual listener of drum and bass, you probably wouldn't care about this as much. But for me, it just sounds, it doesn't sound great to have the feedback that high. It just reminds me of, it makes me think about, it just makes me think about Serum. And it feels, it takes me out of the zone a little bit. It's just like, oh, I'm just like hearing like these really intense feedback points in a phaser in Serum or something. Maybe that's not what's going on. But either way, I think that whatever is causing those peaks, I think you can tone it down a bit without like, removing that effect altogether. Because I get it. It's kind of like, it's got that, it's kind of acting a little bit as a riser while just adding a lot of that beef and grit to the intro and kind of like this, like oh shit, prepare your cortisol. It's about to pop off. But that's just some general thoughts for you in terms of maybe taming some of the sound design. Because, listening to this drop again, now that I'm thinking about that feedback about the second drop as well, I mean, you can definitely hear the drums quite well in the mix. But that being said, it does feel a little bit, maybe like too brick-walled almost. It feels, I just would encourage you to experiment with making subtle changes to your mix and just seeing how it differs. I think that like you could even make it a little bit of a challenge in the sense that, let's say like you sit down in front of the project file, you don't do anything, let's say to the sound design or anything, and you just create like, 10 minutes, let's say you spent 10 minutes mixing it down, then you render that version as one version, right? And then you start from a clean slate again with the same track without those mix changes. Do it again, maybe try a few different changes. And you do that maybe like 3 times, spend a half an hour creating 3 different versions, 10 minutes each. And then you compare all of those to the original. Just a random thought to kind of like make it into a little bit of an experiment and see like what are some things you notice. And then additionally, on top of that, obviously, I don't know what system you're using. If you have like speakers, headphones, whatever, you could then also, listen to those renders on your phone or your laptop or your car and see like how those variations affect it. And that could probably be really insightful, an insightful experiment. But anyways, just some food for thought. It's a cool tune, lots of energy. So thank you for sharing. It's a phaser with a resonant filter. Got it. Okay. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. What's up, AS Rober? Yo, what you got for us today? All right. What do we got here? Escapism. Vibing. Maybe a tad on the quiet side. Very cool. Well, I think there's a lot of stuff that's working quite well here. It's a pretty delicate piece. So because of that, I think that I have some, like, most of my feedback is probably more so focused on, let's say, like some sound selection, some sound design, and maybe a little bit of like mixing. It feels the vibe is great, and I like how gentle it is, and how exploratory it is. You're definitely like kind of staying in this pocket in this vibe, and I like that. That being said, though, because it's so intimate and exposed, I think that it's that much more important for what is there to feel like it's well, obviously to feel like it's there for a reason, which I feel like everything that's in the song right now is serving a certain purpose, but also that it's got a character to it that fits this the vibe of the song. So if I go to the beginning, for example, I actually think the beginning is probably the most the area where that's most clear. Like all the sounds that are happening here feel a little bit too generic, I would say, and I think that can work against you in the like world building of your vibe and your piece. And I think that again, if you're gonna have something that's so stripped down and so minimal, it's that much more important that every sound is really it feels like it's catered to the world that you're creating here. So I mean that like literally every sound. Like I would just experiment. You know, like if this is the vibe, if this is the direction, I would say, you know, just experiment with creating different alternate sounds for the percussion. I feel like garage, whatever, perfect genre to do some heavy experimentation with percussive sounds. And where you get those from, it could be Foley. You could literally record something on your iPhone, like pull a fret again and just record some sounds of like you tapping on a table or something. And those things have so much character to them. And there's a lot of interesting things you could do to bring more character to your sounds versus like trying to rely on what sounds more like I don't know, sounds from a splice pack versus something that is very unique to you. So that's like my biggest thing is like the aesthetic of the sound choices and the sound design. I think that you could definitely push that to a point where it feels more unique. And the same goes for that bass sound as well. I think possibly. I mean, I do hear some other like percussion. Don't get me wrong. There is some stuff in there like that mouth pop and other things going on. But I would just go deeper into it. You know, I would just experiment more. I really like that piano. That kind of felt piano thing is such a vibe with really intimate pieces. The other thing I was going to say too is that I think you could get away with limiting this a bit more. I don't think it would be a disservice to you. And if you're planning on bringing this to streaming platforms, then, you know, there is kind of like a little bit of a loudness consistency aspect, potentially, depending on where you kind of get tagged, where your music would get tagged or placed, you know. So it's just something to think about. You know, I know that I'm pretty sure Spotify has like some kind of auto adjustment algorithm where maybe it reads like the loops or whatever from different songs and says like, oh, this is on average a bit quieter. Let's turn it up a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's a thing, but either way, it still gives you, if you know kind of what genres are your song is adjacent to or kind of pretty firmly in, then you can try to kind of like cater to the mastering style of that a little bit. You know, very ambient music, which obviously this isn't like ambient because I think there's enough rhythm and stuff going on for it not to be ambient, of course, but this is a lot more gentle and atmospheric than most garage, right? So most, not all. if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, it's a really cool tune. So thank you for sharing. I really enjoyed playing on top of it too. So cool. Great feedback. Thank you. Yeah, I love giving feedback. So appreciate it. All right, what's up, Sebjin? You are our next raffle winner. What's going on? I'm glad I waited there for a second. No worries. Never know. Sometimes people are looking for the link or uploading something. Cool. What do we got here? So this is by... What the hell? Subgen Tempo 3. Dude, you are like staring into my soul. Going with this. I like it. Woo! That is cool.
Trademark on that pussy, trademark in my final. I go crazy on my kid. Shout out to the dead, now shout out to the dead, to the dead, to the dead. Let's go.
Sick. Very, very cool. Love this. Lots of good stuff going on. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Saka meets I don't know, maybe like Closey or something. I dig it a lot. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, cool sound design. Arrangement is pretty straightforward and it works. And yeah, lots of great stuff going on. I think really the only thing that I might suggest, hold on, let me play it from here again briefly. the thing I was trying to pay attention to the impact of that first drop, because I was trying to think about like it already felt quite we got a new follower brickwalled going into that. Yeah, thank you, Storm, for the follow. And I was just trying to listen closely to how the impact felt of that first kick drum. And it sounds really nice. Actually, I was going to point that out earlier, that the drum sound design I really like. And I love these kind of like negative space, I wouldn't say this is like Cohen sound, but it does remind me a little bit of like their use of like negative space. Kind of like that more minimal approach to bass music I like a lot. So I don't know, listening to that again, it feels like it catches you off guard, and I think that's really cool. It's hard to get that to work. But the other thing I was going to say, hold on, I did have one other thing that came to mind. Let me scroll over here.
Trademark on that pussy, trademark in my cradle.
I like the idea of incorporating some violin here, or viola. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell the difference. It sounds like it could be either one, but I like the idea of incorporating string instruments, but it feels like they're a little too present and too active. I think you could take even just something like you could have little phrases of it popping in and out and not being quite as active, and like still kind of get it. It feels like a really different sound and texture to have in the song, because like you're mostly exploring like these very synthetic sounds and synthetic sound design, not really much acoustic stuff. And so the introduction of like the sound of a violin or a string instrument there in general feels very it feels novel, but it feels, to me at least, like a little bit too active. I think you could cut it back a little bit. Thank you for the follow, PRJ. And find maybe, like right now it sounds like a very raw recording too. It sounds like very unprocessed, and I think that would be okay if it was used more sparingly, but I think there's a possibility for you to find some more interesting processing for that as well. One thing I've noticed that can be kind of fun with violins is adding, let's say, volume automation in terms of like some tremolo to like a repeated chop or something like that. I don't know if that would work here necessarily, but I would try to experiment with that a little bit more, because that was one of the only other things I noticed that I wasn't completely sold on. But either way, it's all opinion based anyways, right? Clearly you're making good tunes, so I love the track. Thanks for sharing. Sebjin, definitely gonna keep an eye out for other stuff you're submitting in the future, hopefully. Very cool track. All right, let's move on to the next person. Hope to hear more music from you in the future, Seb. Chairboy, what's going on? All right, I'm ready for some house music, or maybe I need to get a little more granular with my genre names, I think. 24-hour challenge. Let's hear it.
Also, the uterus shot out and exploded.
What the hell?
Shawty, 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 shawty. 4-500 on the Hummer, no gas. 89 price on the ticket. Exercise, eat all my best, boot up, cause I'm desperately out hit business. Stunning by the hunters, gonna come in no fast. Shorty gon' bag it, lick it. Get rat packet, shit, bitch. Nigga from rack to riches, dumb shit. Act like you don't know, run shit. On the report to the function, I'm checking my sneakers, no checks on my sneakers. Just put my cabbie, you're the goodie girl. Pull up to the church in my hoodie then. I'm about to get money for shitty then. I ride around in the old pink Mercedes, a pussy whip. Like
I'm having trouble with my 911. Smoking your chest and I know it weigh heavy. I'm out of a ride, dog, you gotta come get me. Why she always talking like she understand me? I fuck with the nerds on stage, I go let me. I don't have family, so I keep a palace. My nigga Dave bought so many watches, I went and got one and I didn't even sell it. All of the niggas around me is humble. I'll be the ass, so I'm more prima donna. Shawty your wife, if we gotta
with that pretty fly, I might PD pop you. Fuck with, I'm pretty fly, go PD pop you. Fucking with that pretty fly, I might PD pop. Tame a white T.O. spinning like a helicopter. Tame a white T.O. spinning like a helicopter.
On my spirits, that's really my twin. Like I look in the mirror. You just have day right, but it's an incredible feeling. I fix all your fears.
Don't shit. Rush it.
Shawty, what's up with your lifestyle? You're moving too loosely. I thought you was bold. Nigga, you tweeting my absence. Who knew on the play? Let's go cut off that noise. I'm back on my business. I'm feeling alive. We killing them boys.
All right, where are we going next? All right. Cool. I think there's a lot of energy. There's some cool moments in here. I feel like overall, it does feel a bit chaotic. It feels like there's I feel like that's one of your strengths, and also simultaneously sometimes one of your weaknesses is like your willingness to just like create like randomness in your tracks. Speaking of which, your humor is pretty random too. So I'm starting to notice some similarities, Chairboy. But you really catch people off guard with some of the just like the chaos, you know, because there's like so much stuff happening that like sometimes you're like, what the hell? Where did that come from? Like there's a moment here in the half where it switched to halftime where it's really cool. Actually, I think the halftime might be my favorite section.
Spinning like a helicopter.
I just thought there was some cool stuff going on, and like really keeps you guessing. And I think that's maybe the best way to describe your music, honestly. It keeps you guessing, keep them on their toes, never let them know your next move. But yeah, I would say, unfortunately, that's also one of the things that kind of doesn't work for me in this track. Is it just feels a little too rhythmically dense. Like there's just so much happening. And, you know, I don't listen to a ton of Jersey, but I know that rhythm is a huge part of the genre. What is it? Dun, 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 dun. So I think that, like, there's an emphasis on that normally. And you do have that rhythm, I think.
500 on the hummer, no gas. 89 price on the ticket. Exercise, eat up my vegetable, cause I'm desperately about hit bit. Stunning by the hunters, gonna come in no fast. Shut it.
But the thing is, rhythmically, there's also the sub is adding some additional like fills here and there. The vocals are doing obviously their own thing, and it almost feels like it's like a barrage on your senses, at least rhythmically speaking. Because the mix actually, it sounds okay. There's nothing like super offensive happening. There's nothing is out of place mix wise, but it just feels like a little too chaotic. Like there's just too much to think about, focus on, or to listen to.
Get rap package, shit, bitch. Nigga from back to riches, dumb shit. Act like you don't know, rush it. On the proportion, function, checking my niggas.
Like just the boom, boom, like just that rhythm to get that along to work in tandem with like the classic like Jersey rhythm, the drum rhythm, I think is already just those two elements would be a great kind of like foundation. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not like super familiar with Jersey, but that's my only criticism really. I think the arrangement is good. I feel like there's a lot of cool vocal chops going on. It's a cool sound design. Definitely keeps you on your toes. So thanks for sharing, Charbor. Can't keep fresh ears in 24 hours, man. Yeah, I feel you. Jerk is another name. I didn't realize Jerk is the same as Jersey, but gotcha. Cool. Let's move on and see what else we got here today. Pierre J, what are we cooking? May have to move on. Let's wait and see if we hear from Pierre J. All right, we're moving on. What's up, Rabagast? What you got for us? Nice. Thanks for having that link ready to go. Appreciate it. Let's see what we got. Simple Things. Very cool. Yeah, it's got a nice vibe. Got a little bit of a kind of tranquil garage type thing going on. I feel like a little housey at times as well. I like it. The structure works great in my opinion. It feels very gentle, easy listening, introspective. I don't know why I'm just naming off words to describe the song, but those are the things that I'm getting. But there's actually similar to the song that we heard earlier from As Robber. I think that there's a similar problem I'm seeing with this song because I like the vibe. I love tranquil music. I love ambient. I love anything that sounds like it could accompany a relaxing sunset, sunrise, whatever. I love chill music, all of it, most of it, not all of it. So I think that the bit of feedback that I would lean into though is that with how intimate this is, it's that much more important that the sound selection and the character of everything feels very consistent and specific and very, let's say, like unique to what it is that you're making here. I think that in a lot of ways, I think there's just more room for the sound design and the whether that's the drums, the percussion, or whether it's the synth work. I just think there's more room to dive deeper. I think that this is a great foundation and it's a great piece of music as is. It's very enjoyable to listen to. I just think there's more room to dive deeper into the emotion, the detail, the like more specific characteristics. I think that's like, honestly, I think that when I think about what differentiates a lot of the, let's say, better known producers in the game, just because you're a great producer doesn't mean obviously that you're going to be well known. But many well-known producers are great producers because they have, kind of tapped into a lot of the specific things in their workflow that enables their style and contextualizes their strengths in like a way that maybe others can't. And I don't know, like you think about like, maybe you won't agree with me on something like this, but I think about somebody like Tame Impala, for example. I mean, it's hard to listen to Tame Impala and not enjoy it. And I think a big part of that, like if you take the writing and let's say like the singing of Tame Impala and you dumb down the production to something more generic, like imagine replacing all the drum sounds with, I don't know, splice loops or something, right? And instead of like recorded instruments, maybe you just use VSTs and replace it all with that. And like that could probably sound pretty decent, and it wouldn't sound like objectively bad, but it wouldn't have the character that that we all appreciate in Tame Impala's music. Thank you for the sub, new too. I really appreciate it. This is very inspired by Burial. I could see that. I feel like, Burial, obviously a great inspirational like reference point, and makes a lot of sense as like an inspirational like kind of like citation or whatever. But that's the thing that I would encourage you to dive deeper on, because I think that's really one of the things that really differentiates producers from one another. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many artists can thrive in EDM, because I don't know. I don't want to go too off the rails here, but like structurally, a lot of EDM is by design like quite predictable, right? Very. We got a new follower. Thank you for the follow, Zod. It's obviously meant to be dance friendly. It's electronic dance music, right? So it's nothing. Can't really deny that one of the main purposes is for it to be dance friendly. By nature, that kind of means being formulaic, and that's not a bad thing automatically. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a reason why there's so many artists that thrive under that umbrella, and I think a lot of it is just like those small or sometimes bigger kind of like decisions that just differentiate your choices from someone else's. And I think leaning into that and just discovering it, leading into it, executing it well. That's very generic advice, I know, but I would say that that's the biggest piece of the puzzle that's missing for me when I listen to this, because I enjoyed it a lot. It's just I want more detail, more attention to the little things, more character, more like show me some little things that I don't hear in other, chill, laid back, like garage or, burial-esque tunes. And I think that would make me even more excited. But anyways, all depends on what your goals are with music. So you can also feel free to ignore everything I just said, because you've got a good tune here. So yeah. Anyways, cool. Let's move on. Martin's music. What's going on? You followed me an hour ago. I'm not sure if you know this, but my name is Martin too. So, us Martins got to stick together. You got to show me what you're cooking. Make the Martins proud. I think I put too much pressure on him. He's he may have left. I didn't mean to psych you out, Martin. Martin, no. Also, I think we can all agree that the first time you hear Archangel by Burial, what a magical experience. I literally just saw a clip on social media today of Disclosure talking about how much of a mystery Burial is. And he probably likes it that way. Okay, let's move on. Martin is not here, I think. What's up, Mostly Water? What you got for us today? You gonna end the stream in 4 minutes? No, that's just my Notion calendar telling me what I put. I just put a repeating event in there months ago, and it's not accurate anymore. I gotta update it. Just needs to finish uploading. All good. I'm gonna take a quick look at Ableton. Man, this is one of the things I don't like about Apple. It's like I don't know why it does that sometimes. Wanted to tame this sound a little bit. There we go. That sounds a little bit better. All right, we got our next track to listen to. Let's check this out. Oh, you might need to give me the private link. This looks like it's the unless it is still processing. Try to see if you double check if you gave me the private link. I don't think you did, because normally I feel like it would say like song title / random numbers and stuff. Re-uploading as private. Oh, okay. It was public. Okay, looks like this was removed, but no, you're good. It's all right. We can take a second here. All right, let's check this out. Complextro thing. So, do you know how to share private tracks on SoundCloud? Because I think you might be sending me the public link still. If you're just going into the URL bar and copying it from the top, you can't do that. You have to like go just below the private track, which you can see there's like some kind of like a sharing option down here somewhere, and you have to select the private link, unless it might still be processing. Okay. Well, normally I've only seen these errors with the wrong link being shared. Maybe we'll check back in and move on for the time being. I'll refresh it one more time. Yeah. Maybe we'll check back in with you in a little bit. Martin, have you heard that piano jam I sent a while ago? I don't know if I know what you're talking about. But yeah, if it's okay with you, Mostly Water, we'll come back to you and check in a little bit to see if that track's working, and then I'll critique it. Let's roll on to someone else for the time being, and we'll come back to you. What's up, DJ Transponder? You got something for us to listen to? All right. What are we going to listen to today? Your last submission was great. Really enjoyed that tune. The vocalist was really good as well.
You
sick. It's a good tune. I like it. I think that you got a lot of stuff working for you in this track. Arrangement is quite straightforward and it works well. I think the production is good. The mix is good. There's nothing that really sticks out, bothers me. Doesn't feel like any particular frequency range is like out of whack or unbalanced. So there's a lot of good things going on. To me, it feels like you're at a point. There was this video I was watching recently of an artist, Phonon. I actually haven't seen him in the stream in a little bit, but he was in the stream not too long ago, I think. But he posted this video of his thoughts on what he called like the last 5%, and how it can feel sometimes like when you have a song that's like 95% there, that last 5%, what seems like is just like this tiny little chunk to get it to that final stage is almost just as difficult. And it feels like a little bit misleading in a way where it's like, just getting that tiny little final push can be a lot harder than it seems. It's almost like taunting, because a lot of times you get to this point in a song where, in a track where it feels like it's all there, but it's not at 100% yet. And it kind of feels like, well, how do you get it there, And that's something that I had to think about briefly, because it feels to me like you're at that 95% spot with this track. Because the reason I say that is because I think that there's well, everything is working, right? Everything is it's quite consistent. There's some main moments, drops. Obviously, it's electronic music after all. And the sections leading in and out of them sound good. There's variation. The second drop goes into that 4 to the floor kind of thing, and then switches back up. And I think it's all working quite well. But I think there's room to add just a little bit more attention to detail, and I'll try to give you some examples of what I'm talking about. So that vocal chop that's happening in the background, or not really, kind of the background. It's like that. Anyways, it's that vocal chop that's happening on every beat, and it obviously is helping kind of keep the rhythm. It's kind of like acting in a way like a hi-hat. It's this kind of it's keeping you grounded. And I think that it could be worth experimenting with the reverb on that, because right now it sounds to me like the reverb is just on 100%. One sec, let me listen again. Yo, Les Sondiers, thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. We're just doing a little bit of Feedback Fridays here, listening to a track by DJ Transponder. So something as simple as, just experimenting with these little parameters when you're this far along in a song, it can just have dramatic, like a really big impact on a track overall, as you probably well know. But I think that sometimes just playing with that little bit of space that's created by removing the reverb can be really effective. So, for example, like leading into that downbeat, I'm curious what that little vocal chop leading into that downbeat would sound like without reverb, right? And that obviously, that interplay between like dry and wet can be really powerful in terms of creating like impact and unexpected little moments, because it's very unnatural, obviously, to hear reverb just completely disappearing. So like it grabs your attention consciously or subconsciously too. So anyways, that was just one small thing I was thinking about. So for example, at the end of those phrases, that seems like an interesting place to try to experiment with making it dry. Because if you're going to have the reverb on for the most part during the groove, the main groove of the drop, then like kind of removing it towards the end of the phrases could then help kind of contrast, if that makes sense. It kind of like takes that away. It takes the groove away for a brief moment. And you're like, oh, and then brings it back. Just some food for thought. It's a small thing, but the track is so far along that there's really only like details to talk about, right? I will say one other thing I'll say is that I feel like so. So I'm just thinking about the arrangement of a lot of the sound design of the drop too, right? So I was just trying to like think about just the pitch wise what was happening, and I think it's possible that dun, 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 dun. So so that's probably the call and response that you titled the track after. Hold on. Let me listen to this one more time. Yeah, okay. So that's another thing, is that I think you have room to get a little more creative with the last two measures of your drop structure. So right now you have like these 2 measure segments. So it goes like ba da dun da 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 dun. Okay, that's 2 measures. Da da dun da 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 dun. Another 2 measures. Dun da dun 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 dun. And here, boom. Like there's room in those last 2 measures to do some really big switch ups, and I think you might be losing a little bit of energy by not tapping into that a little bit more. Like you could your chord progression, I think if I remember correctly, it's the D major, C minor, G minor, E flat major. So you could do a callback to the last 2 chords of that chord progression, which is why I was just playing that in those last 2 measures. Just some food for thought. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there. And I mean, that's one of the tough things too when you're so close to finishing a song. It's like doing bigger changes can feel daunting, because it's like, well, what if I do all this work and it doesn't go anywhere? Because that happens all the time too, right? But it is almost a necessary. It's a necessary risk to take on. That you might be wasting time on something that doesn't end up getting used in the final, because that's what's going to get you to the end result. But anyways, that's all I have for you, really. The more I listen to it, the more I feel like I stand by what I was saying, is that, again, arrangement, mix, sound design, things are going great. I think you're at that 95% point. Just focus on playing with little moments that can help create contrast in the right sections of the song, and focus on seeing whether adding a little bit of spice to your drop arrangement in those last 2 measures is something you can experiment with, and that's all I got for you. But Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for sharing, DJ Transpounder. Let's move on to the... Yeah, it gives Quest for Fire vibes, for sure. I could see that. Cool. Let's move on to I'm Vice. Oh, my bad. Mostly Water. Well, if you're still here, we'll get to you right after this. We'll see if I'm Vice is here, and if they have a song. I didn't mean... I should have rolled quite yet. You got something for us, Vice? You've been here since the beginning of the stream, so... Yeah, no worries. Feel free to share. I don't think I have to be logged in to listen, right? Jam to it. Access granted. All right. I can't believe throwback time. Is this tuned to 440? At times it sounds like it's a few cents off. I might be tripping though. Cool. Yeah, it sounds definitely like chiptune digital fusion. I could see why you named the genre digital fusion. I could see that. It's a fun tune. It feels like yeah, definitely got that chiptune video game energy going. It's a fun track. I feel like I can't really, video game OSTs and stuff, they definitely live in their own world, their own space. So I can't really critique it the way I would critique other music, So, but that being said, it's a fun tune. Fun to listen to. Fun to jam to a little bit. Appreciate you sharing. Water flame. Oh, plus 20 cents. Okay, that's what I was. Wait, this whole time I was jamming. Okay, well, it probably didn't sound very good then with me playing on top of it. But yeah, mostly water. You got a link for us? I appreciate you waiting. Actually, here, let me try to reload what you sent earlier and see if this is working now. Yeah, just so you know, this link is still not working. I'll check the other one as well. Okay, this one is working. Let's listen to this. If you're ready, mostly water. I got your track uploaded, I believe. Yes. Okay. Sweet. Let's check it out. Oh, yeah. I remember this song. I like the little guitar plucks. I think I can hear some of the improvements. Cool. I think that you have made some improvements. I think I'm not gonna act like I am the leading complextro expert. I don't have a PhD in complextrology, but so I don't know that I'm the best person to ask about this kind of stuff. It does feel actually a little bit on the slow side for complextro, or am I tripping? That being said, I actually kind of like it though. It definitely, I think it is a bit slower than most complextro, but I like it at this tempo personally. I think it actually gives it a little bit of a different flavor. I think that you have no shortage of ideas. So I think that some of your strengths are I think arrangement, composition seem to come pretty naturally to you. It feels like the structure of the song is good. I think that was kind of true before as well. And I can see you were taking some of my advice from the last time. It does sound like the mix has changed a bit. The drums, I think, are a little bit further forward in the mix, which is good. But I would like the dynamics of all of the sounds outside of the drums to kind of be a bit more consistent and a bit more kind of brick walled. It still feels like there's a little bit too much variety and kind of like the presence in the mix. And also the low end, I think, is definitely suffering. So if you have, I don't know what equipment you're using to mix or produce, but if you have a way to reliably listen to low end by isolating it with an EQ, I think that some reference mixing would go a long way. If you snagged another Complextor track and you isolated, let's say, like everything below 200 hertz, and you listen to that, and then you isolated the same frequency range in your song, and just tried to like listen to the difference and have that kind of inform some of your decision making, that could probably be really helpful. Hopefully I didn't already say that last time, but I do think that kind of stuff helps. Because I do think that really your biggest challenge comes down to just like more nuanced, more detailed production, sound design, attention to detail from like a mixing and a sound design perspective. The idea is there, and some of these things you can't force yourself into either, right? Like some things can't happen overnight, and sometimes it just takes a long time to get enough tools in your toolbox to be able to have the answers that you need, to get tracks to sound, a certain way. But it's important not to have that feel like it's something that will prevent you from finishing stuff either, right? You're gonna keep coming up with ideas as you are improving as a producer, so it's important. This is a mistake that I get hung up on sometimes. It feels like, I'm waiting to release stuff because I'm like, I still need to get better at XYZ, and it's like, it's good to be comfortable with always sharing where you're at as a producer, I think, and it's okay to still be learning how to do things better and kind of share that progress and share that journey with people. So, I would encourage you to just focus on what you can do to get this to the finish line. Again, lots of great stuff going on here. And thank you so much for sharing. Maybe it lacks pump. Yes, I would agree with that. Cool. We got a few more tracks to listen to. Got a half an hour left here. Coffee, thank you for the follow. Let's see who we got next. All right. New to net 2. New to net 2? Oh, the Nightbot change. Yeah, that's pretty sick. 5 total users. Nice. I like that. I didn't even think about that until you said it, Art Nerd. You got something for us to listen to, New 2? Yeah, Mr. Master, you're on the list, and it looks like New 2 might not be here anymore, so we may need to move on. Oh, never mind. Oh, I'm just listening How do you make music? I didn't realize the join was for sharing tracks. Yeah, no worries at all. How do I make music? That's a good question. Most of the time, it starts at the piano, and then it progresses in Ableton and my DAW. But let's roll on to the next person then. Carlos Torres, what you got for us? All right, might need to move on from Carlos as well. Yep, no worries. Let's move on to the next person. Coffee, what's going on? Is that like a different way of... is that a creative way of spelling coffee? Or is this a made-up name? Based on something else? That's the New York way of saying it, right? Yeah, coffee. My track is uploading right now. Okay, we can come back to you. No worries. I know we got some other people waiting, so we might come back to you in a moment here. Coffee. Coffee, what's up? I'm on Laser. Which, by the way, am I saying that right? I don't remember if you've corrected me on how to say your artist name. Unlaser? Got some different stuff today? Yes, let's go. I'm always down for something new. No, it was like Lisa. Unleaser? Unlisa. Okay. Very cool. All right, we got very much a full track on our hands here. Feels well arranged, lots of great sound design, a lot of good energy. I'm trying to think about what to focus on here because, well, first of all, Unlisa, right? That's how you say it. I gotta check one more time. Unlisa, yeah, okay, gotcha. So, I like the variety in your productions. I feel like you've got a wide range, which I think is a great thing for a producer to have. Not that it's a bad thing for, let's say, like producers to lean into their strengths and kind of like focus on specific, let's say, like tempos or genres or anything. But I'm just saying, like, I appreciate the variety in your music. I feel like we've heard several things from you, and they've all been very different, but very well executed. So, just wanted to throw that out there first. Let's see. In terms of feedback, I'm just gonna jump into random stuff because I don't really know what order to do this in. But one thing I was thinking about this build. I think the build feels a little bit underwhelming. It feels like it's lacking some low end. Like, obviously, the percussion is doing just fine, but it feels like there needs to be a little bit more going on in the build. It kind of feels like it's basically all just percussion. I definitely think there's room to make some creative choices here. Whatever you want to do, whether it's foreshadowing some elements of the drop more, but that definitely feels a bit empty at the moment. I really like the fill moments you have where it gets a little bit more dry. You take away the lead sound, you make room for some sound design there. It's creating some nice variety in the drop. For the second half of the drop, I think you could get away with making some subtle sound design adjustments to the lead. I think keeping the lead there is totally fine because it contains a lot of the energy, I think, in the drop. But why not switch it up a little bit for the second drop? You know, even just experimenting with a little bit of different post processing, maybe adding another layer or changing up the wavetables that are being used. There's a billion different things that could create a little bit more variety instead of having the exact same thing going on again. I like this section too with the guitar. It's a nice touch, the acoustic guitar. And then this, like, kind of almost like a fake out drop / build thing here. I like that sound you have repeating there before the drop. I will say I feel like this section, I feel like that could have some more low end. It feels like it's very yeah, it feels like the low end here is being cut out. It's kind of a hard style. Maybe that's just Honestly, I never listened to hardstyle. I feel like this is like a hardstyle fake out kind of drop. Maybe that's normal for hardstyle. I don't really know, but it sounds to me like there's some low end missing. And maybe that's intentional to try to contrast with the drop. But honestly, I don't think it needs to. I think you could have some low end in there to keep that momentum going. Otherwise, it almost feels a little bit too anticlimactic. Like, yeah, the energy is there because it's like, yeah, every single beat. Like, yeah, the energy's there. But on a big speaker system, I think it might feel a little bit underwhelming because you have this big build up here. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. So, and then we go back to the melody and the same sound design as in the first drop here, which isn't automatically bad, but I think since you're doing a bit of a switch up here, I just think you can you could differentiate this drop even if it's in a subtle way from the first one. So, for example, that little sound that's like da 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 da. I feel like it'd be cool to use that to try to layer with that synth that's playing the main melody. I think that would be cool. Also, another thing you could consider doing is instead of having the exact same structure there. Hold on, I'm gonna try something out here real quick. Where's let me just load really quick an init patch just to show you. You could try something like this out. Like, you could try to hold that note and then try to bring more emphasis to other sound design just to create a little bit of a differentiation to the first drop. We gotta do follow up. I don't know. It's just an idea. Yo, thank you for the follow, Ginger Panda. I don't know, I'm just playing random stuff right now, but I just feel like there's room to do something slightly different here. And that first part of the melody is a big part of your song, so I think keep that the same. But and then it could just be held while maybe the groove keeps going, sound design is being introduced. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. And then you could actually go back to the OG drop maybe for this second half. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, it's a good tune. Other than that, I don't really have too much criticism for you. So, yeah, it's a hard style fake out. It's hardware or hard wave melodic dubstep fusion track. Cool. It's an electric guitar. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. All right. That's all I got for you. Wait, was there somebody I skipped over? Wait, what was I doing? Was there somebody that I skipped over? Who was I supposed to listen to? Or am I tripping? Did I? Oh, coffee. Yeah, or coffee. Yeah, that's right. But okay, coffee. Do you have a link for us? Oh, nice, you do. Okay, sweet. Let's check this out. I feel like I'm playing Fallout 4. I'm out in the wasteland. I like the strings. So much tension. Oh my god. My cortisol is like going off the charts right now. This feels like a really interesting OST. I could picture this in a really, dramatic, well, obviously a dramatic moment. Like I'm picturing like some kind of really dark reveal, a pivot in the story, or where you're expecting things to go. Things are going horribly wrong. It feels like very cataclysmic and like earth shattering. Like your worldview, your in a sense is being lost, and you're being forced to like contend with something really dark. Very cool. I think I could definitely, yeah, like I said, it feels like a great little moment to have in an OST, whether that's like a soundtrack for like a film or a video game. It's very intense, lots of tension. So yeah, from that perspective, I don't really have anything else. I don't think I can really critique it because of that, because it feels like it seems like that's very intentional, and that's what you're going for, and that's what you've achieved here. And it seems like a great kind of thing to have in your arsenal, right? So thank you for sharing. I honestly just don't really think I have anything to say. It feels dark and like demented and just kind of like, yeah, it's great. Yeah, no worries. All right, y'all. I actually do need to hit the bathroom super quick. We have a few people left here still. Let's see how many of these we can get through. I was expecting some war drums to pop in. I could have seen that. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if I want to critique it from the perspective of like what I would have done with it, because it's like I'm trying to just kind of connect with the vision that I think you had for this, and I think that if you're going for creating a lot of dissonance and tension and drama and make the listener feel like they're kind of like forcefully being exposed to something they don't want to go through, that's kind of how this feels to me. Is like a character in a story is being forced to contend with the reality. Like, okay, so I was listening to I don't know if any of you guys know the 3 Body Problem book series, but I restarted it, and I could picture something like this being great in like a sci-fi kind of movie, film, whatever, like where in 3 Body, like the realization of like impending doom and like the hopelessness that comes with the possibility of like this extraterrestrial, inevitable extraterrestrial like arrival, and the existential crisis that comes along with that. I feel like I'm getting that from listening to this personally. But yeah. Anyways, let me hit the bathroom super fast, y'all. I'll be back in just a moment. And yeah, just give me a brief little breather here. BRB. We got a new follower. All right, let's get back to work. What are we going to listen to now? Following isn't a requirement. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. everyone has the same chances of being selected in the raffle. All right, let's get back into it. Let's choose a winner. What's up, Andy Music? What happened to the piano? There we go. Oh, nice. Love it when the link is ready right off the bat. Yo, thank you for the follow, Control 4. Okay, cool. It's an interesting work in progress. There's some cool stuff going on, some cool sound design. I like the idea of using a rim shot for your drop. So I think overall, it feels really dry. The song feels quite dry. I think you could have more atmospheric elements going on, things that kind of have a little bit more of a world building effect. Let's take another listen. Like, hold on. Let me try to do something here. I'm just gonna add some reverb here. Just see if I can randomly do something here. You see how even just a little bit of like super washed out random piano notes adds like a lot of ambiance? I just think that more stuff like that will help you a lot. But right now it just feels very too dry, like I said. But yeah, anyways, I think like the arrangement is really cool. It's working. It's working. Actually, I was gonna say one thing about sidechaining here. It's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, and different people have different philosophies on sidechaining. But in my opinion, the way I see it is that a sound like, let's say, like a rim shot does not have enough presence across the frequency spectrum to warrant side chaining the entire frequency spectrum of your bass sounds. So the way that I would go about doing it, personally, and you can feel free to disagree, I would try to use the signal of the rim shot to sidechain sounds only in the frequency range of the rim shot. I think for your kick, it's okay to just volume duck everything, but for the rim shot, I don't know. I think that it should only it shouldn't sidechain the entire volume of those bass sounds. It just the sound doesn't warranted, and like another way in which I kind of see it, like sounds generally, percussion sounds should generally primarily sidechain the frequency ranges that they occupy. You know, so like unless it's a creative mixing choice, that's one of the ways in which I kind of see sidechaining working best. It's not always the case, but that's kind of like how I see it. So, you know, all that sub action that is in the low end, you know, a rim shot obviously doesn't conflict with your sub. You know, so they can coexist in the mix. But of course, you still want the rim to pop through the mix, and you probably want some side chaining. So I would just focus on using something like Compactor by Kilohertz to try to side chain your bass sounds that way. And then you can always exaggerate the effect, and if you don't like it, then that's totally fine. But I just wanted to throw that out there because it's just something that I notice sometimes in electronic music. I think it comes down to like a production philosophy and a preference as well, and you know, creative decisions and that kind of stuff. But that's one thing I wanted to point out too. Let's see, what else do I have? I think for this section, it would be cool. You're obviously going into something that's more melodic. You have more sustained notes. I think this could be a really cool section for you to bust out a snare. I don't know exactly. You could stick to that rhythm and just like try out a snare there instead. I just feel like if the instrumentation and the sound design is changing that much there, it could warrant having a snare there potentially. But I don't know, just some food for thought. But yeah, anyways, that's all I got for you. Thank you for sharing. Cool. Let's move on, y'all. What's up, Control 4? What you got for us? Damn, Hottie, I feel like you've been here for ages. Well, yeah, I haven't gotten to you somehow. Okay. What are we working with here, Control 4? Eight minutes. Holy cow.
We don't question where the cosmos came from. Yet we demand to know where we're going. The universe was never meant to be understood, only experienced. We searched the stars for answers, but the signal was always inside. Before time had a name, we were already energy.
Energy.
Matter is temporary. Vibration is eternal.
Psytrance, right? I haven't heard Psytrance in a minute.
Awaken. Delta tag.
I gotta do the Squidward arms to this.
We don't remember choosing to be here, but we are here anyway. Why are we here?
Psytrance is often in 3/4 as well, right? Or 6/8? I feel like I've heard a lot of Psytrance in 3/4 and 6/8. Okay, so
You are not in the universe.
I know there's more to the track,
universe is unfolding.
but just for the sake of, normally I listen to full songs beginning to end, and I do kind of pride myself in doing that for Feedback Fridays. But that being said, because I'm close to the end of the stream, I know there's some people that have been in here for a hot minute. I did want to try to see if I can get at least to a couple more. But that being said, I like it a lot. I haven't heard Psytrance in a hot minute, so it's very atmospheric. It's got a lot of energy. I think that it can be a in terms of feedback. I feel like I don't listen to a ton of Psytrance, but I'll still give you my thoughts. I think that with vocals like that, where like spoken, like they're sampled from let's say some kind of like Carl Sagan audiobook or something. I think that there's a fine line between something that could feel gimmicky and something that can feel like it's world building. And I think that a little bit of, I can tell that you're processing the vocals.
We don't question where the cosmos came from.
But I do think they feel, I don't know. I'm trying to, I think a little bit more processing and playing with those vocals could make them feel less like there is some National Geographic narrator talking on top of the track. I don't know. I'm just not 100% sold on it, and that's okay if you like it the way as is. I just wanted to throw that out there. That's one random thing that came to mind. The whole track, it's definitely a journey, and I feel like that's often the point of psytrance from what I know. But it's really well done. There's a lot of great atmospheric sounds, a lot of good, good like control over the ebb and flow of the momentum.
Matter is temporary. Vibration is eternal.
I think that to me it feels like there's a little bit more attention to detail that could go into some of the sound design. It sounds fine as is. It sounds good, but I do feel that there's room for just tiny little improvements, in my opinion. I think that there's some like stuff in the mids, maybe like the upper mids and the kick drum that I would probably try to EQ out. It might be in the transient. I'm hearing like a little bit of a little bit too much presence somewhere in the upper mids, I think, in the kick. And the bass pluck, it sounds cool, but I would love to hear it being played with a little bit more, just a tiny bit. Like, I wonder if there's some way to like give it a slightly different texture or presence in the mix. It feels just like a tad bit plain. It's quite mono as well, which probably is on purpose. But I just feel like maybe there's some way to maybe spice that up a little bit. Not much. I mean, I'm literally talking about like having like maybe a little bit of a just some minor adjustments in the sound design. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Everything else is yeah, it feels like very much in line with what you would want to hear in a psytrance track. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm really looking for some feedback, that's all I could give you. So, thank you. Oh, there is a stereo layer. Okay, all right. Well, ignore what I said then. But anyways, oh, we have Breaking in the chat. Did I miss? Holy 8-minute track. Yeah, I know. This is, I think maybe the second time I've ever not listened to a full track. So, Breaking. Yo. Breaking, are you going to submit a song? What's up, Avis Music? We got you next. But yeah, I think I'm going to do like maybe a couple tracks and then I'm going to probably wrap it up here. I don't know why that melody just kind of came to my brain. Might have something to do with Breakin' being in the chat. All right, all the time. Sick tune. Cool. I like it a lot. I like that it doesn't feel like it's trying to be anything specific. It's just it's groovy, vibey. It's cool. That's really cool. Out of curiosity, the vocal I'm hoping is some kind of like a splice chop or something like that. Versus hopefully not something AI generated, but probably not. I mean, the rest of the track sounds very much. I mean, I know you've submitted some really great stuff in the past, so I would not assume that you would go that route necessarily. But I think that I'm trying to think about what kind of feedback to give you. It's just a great tune. It's kind of like in its own. It's house adjacent, I guess. Definitely feels like a little bit of a house vibe. I will say in the intro here, the mix feels a little bit off to me. Like that clap, it feels very bright. I would probably choose a different kind of sound for an intro beat. Something that's a little bit more like something that sounds like a lo-fi kind of snare. There's a specific sample that well, I'm not gonna go hunting for a sample, but I could just hear some other snares or claps working a little bit better there. That one feels very, very thin. Also, I'm hearing a little bit of potentially unwanted distortion in this synth here. Maybe some kind of clipping, I'm not sure. But I would take a closer look at that.
Be on your mind, like all the time. Your body's mine, so spend the night. Be on your mind, don't pass through your mind.
Like this one sounds great here. I like this little snare here. It's got like a little bit of a very simple like 808 kind of vibe going. I like that a lot more. It doesn't feel like it's out of place as much as that intro clap is.
Be on your mind, like all the time. Your body's mine, so spend the night. Be on your mind, don't pass through your mind. Just like wine, so spend the night. Be on your mind.
I do like that the chord progression just keeps evolving. The chords are just kind of gently moving around. And it's just a cool vibe. I like it a lot.
Be on your mind.
I just think a little bit more attention to detail will help you get this to the finish line. You're just paying closer attention to how individual layers sound. Obviously, one thing that is a common way to explore if there are any issues in certain layers is to just start muting different layers as the song is playing, loop a section, mute some stuff, and then it could bring some issues to the forefront of the mix and make things more obvious. or inversely, just soloing one track at a time, or building it up one track at a time and seeing if anything pops out to you. Just a good way to kind of like take a listen. It's tough though, because like I know that when sounds are isolated, and are played outside of the mix, it's weird because, you know, sometimes something can sound worse on its own when it actually works quite well in the context of the song. But sometimes something isn't working in the context of the song that sounds good on its own. So it's kind of a tricky process. So I know that that's not always helpful, but I'd still encourage you to kind of give that a shot and see if that brings anything to light. That's a vibe. I think you got a good tune on your hands here, though. There's, I think you're still about, 15% away from final, 10% away from a final track here, but it's groovy. Very, very, very nice tune. Cool. All right, let's roll on to... Wait, break and submit a link? Hold up. Wait. YouTube. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I need to end the stream right now. Hold up. How do you ban someone? How do you ban someone? Ban break-in music. Slash VIP. Wait, are you not already a VIP? You're already a VIP. So your joke doesn't even work. All right, y'all. I think I might actually call it there today. That was about 3 hours of jamming out to your tunes. Lots of great stuff going on. This is how I feel. This is the song dedicated to how I feel when chat betrays me and feeds me Rickroll music. You can just picture me staring out a window. It's like raining outside, and I've got my head down, and I'm like on the verge of tears. How could you betray my trust like that? Play Ella Fitzgerald's Misty. Oh, it's a classic. All right. Peace out, y'all. Have a good rest of your day. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll be back on Sunday for a little production jam, production stream. And yeah, take care, y'all. Hope you guys have a solid rest of your day. Peace.